Perfect. Good morning, everybody, and happy Saturday, or good afternoon, I should say. Welcome to the First Promise Startups Conference of 2025. My name is Elias Bejaloun. You can call me Dr. E, and I'm super excited because today we've got some incredible guests. We're focused on the Black agenda, and we're joined by Dr. Lance McCarthy, Christina, Chris Thomas, and Dino, and we're going to hear about the work that they're doing to uplift Black entrepreneurs all around the country. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. All right, so the format for this, we'll do roundtable, round robin intros. Dr. Lance, if you don't mind to kick us off, do a quick introduction of yourself, and we'll go around the room from there.
Great, thanks for being here. My name is Dr. Lance McCarthy, otherwise known as Dr. Lance. I am the founder of the Black Agenda and the chairman. Our goal is to create 100 Black millionaires. By way of background, I'm an economist. I've served in 2 presidential administrations on economic assessment. My research has been cited both at Harvard, the White House, United Nations. It has been our goal to access all the areas of technology and finance to move our agenda forward. I wrote a book a while back called Wall Street to the Hood, which outlines our strategy of rebuilding urban America. Done TED Talks on Blacks and technology. I tell my people and everyone that I'm a nerd with swag. I love research, but I also like doing deals. And so glad to be here today and share information on how we can assist your organization.
Thank you so much.
My name is Christina, Chris Thomas. I'm no stranger here. I'm president, founder, and president of Veterans Advocacy Council Community Development Corporation. I've worked local, state, and federal national advocacy for patients and veterans, and working in the overall whole health initiatives and being able to do housing, healthcare, homelessness, human trafficking, and to address some of the nuances in those special areas and populations that are left out by looking at data. So shout out to all the super nerds out there that are able to really look at the overall assessment. And we really do want to have those people on our teams. So I was initiated to come into the Black Agenda to take those same characteristics, morals, values, and impressions and apply that across the nation to the Black community the way that I have for the patient and the veteran community as their political director for the Black Agenda.
Thank you, Chris.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dino, Vice President of the Black Agenda. My title is Spiritual Being Having a Physical Experience. Also helping Dr. Lance out side by side, the go-to guy. Anything that anybody needs to, if they can't get to Dr. Lance, you can get to me. I focus more on mindset, and on the economic side, the technology, as far as any type of digital businesses, the digital production that's coming into production right now.
Thank you, Dino. All right, we're gonna play hot potato with this mic. He's gonna be going back and forth. You got one right next to you as well, Dino. All right, so the format for today, we've got about an hour, a little less, to have this amazing conversation. I have a couple of questions, and then I'm gonna open it up to our amazing audience here so they get an opportunity to ask some questions as well. Feel free to guide this conversation however you like. But my first question is going to speak to the heart of why we're all here in the first place. We are here on the historic West Side. We're in the West Side of Las Vegas. We're here at Nevada Partners. We're focused on entrepreneurship. We're focused on helping entrepreneurs become more successful, build themselves up from the bootstraps, and be able to take care of themselves, their family, their community, right? That concept of abundance. And why in the first place? Well, the historic West Side, like many other communities around the country, have seen, just a front of racism, segregation, all of these systemic barriers that have held back certain communities from the success that we want for them. So you've done a lot of studies around this, and you have the Black Agenda focus on this. Could you open up this conversation by talking about how the Black Agenda is looking to tear down those barriers and put forth a new model for the country?
Great question. Well, we have all heard the tale of 2 cities, and that $15.5 billion rose to the casino industry, and that's a lot of wealth. However, we see despair when you look at the West Side, when you look at the North Side. So how do we close that gap? The Urban League also says that if we don't do something drastic, it will take 180 years to catch up. So we decided to create the Black Agenda not only to assist here in the Las Vegas community, but across the country. First of all, the number one issue is lack of capital. Only 1% of capital comes to the African American community, and that's horrific when you look at the trillions that are traded. So we focus on how we can be able to access capital. The other area is we live in Las Vegas, but we're global citizens. So how do you create a platform that can sell products to the world? So we're global in our nature. And then the last is technology. There's a new technology being developed every 30 minutes. You go to school now and graduate 4 years from now, everything you learned is obsolete. So we go with the FIT program, FIT, Finance, International Technology. And we believe focusing on those areas, we can tear down the area of racism. We can tear down the infrastructure that has been set up to this point. No disrespect, when we say the old white boy network is old. We are bringing new innovation because everybody has the same access to technology and information every day. We have the same 24 hours. Therefore, creativity becomes the economic indicator. And we focus on every industry from casino to military to cannabis, every sector there is, to close the gap on consumption versus ownership and to create millionaires in the space. And we know that that will be able to break down racism. We are moving from civil rights to silver rights so we can focus on economics and be able to create 100 Black millionaires and change the game. So that's our focus. That was the stimuli for us starting the Black Agenda, and we're very excited about moving that agenda forward.
That's incredible. I've got a follow-up question building on that for you, Chris. And so, Dr. Lance, I love what you said about FIT, right? Finance, international, technology. And, you know, sometimes when you see a successful entrepreneur, we know this as entrepreneurs, somebody sees you get some success, and they're like, oh, well, you were lucky, right? But luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. So, Chris, what do you think are some of the things that folks need to prepare themselves in order to be fit for this opportunity that's in front of them?
There you go. There you go. You got to be, and you know, my practice as founder, as an entrepreneur of Living Free Souls and working with the person and their identity, we've done that here. You know, if you allow, you can block your blessings real quick.
Yeah.
And we've seen this over and over and over. You know, being fit, what is your dimensions of wellness? You know, how you do one thing is how you do many things. So if you're going to fumble yourself, right, and you're not loyal to yourself, and you don't have the value system and the integrity to understand what it is you truly want from within for without, if the entire concept is to have greed, we're a faith-based, you know, organization. So when we look at the fullness of what it is we bring, we also want to have the preparedness to have that person armed to receive the blessings. So, you know, we're gatekeepers. Like, you know, you don't get, I have to schedule this with Dr. Lance. We're like, hold up, you ready? You know, because again, I'm offering you a network of millions, but you haven't handled thousands yet. And it's not to say you're not worthy, but it's to say that I need you to understand the longevity that we're trying to give you. The longevity of wealth is not just the currency of what the dollar amount is, the currency of the person, and being able economy within the person, that's their value, their worth, and their currency. Those are all very different things. And we want to ensure that person is empowered to receive and not to fumble the ball or to be in a space where they feel that they've lost the connection and then they drop the blessing. We want to make sure that we don't keep seeing that. We're a family. We're going to keep them going.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. You know, you see this with lottery winners all the time. They win the lottery and they lose all their money.
All
you know,
time.
but it's you know, and I talk to successful entrepreneurs. Yeah, please.
Yes,
You know,
remember the story. You know, we've seen so many people come through here that we could get the capital to, and they don't have the actual infrastructure
right.
to understand what it is to keep it going, whether it is
Yep.
a CRM system, operating, the people, you know, all the pillars to be successful in entrepreneurship, just making that solid.
Absolutely. And taking this over to you, Dino, you've seen, you know, successful and not so successful entrepreneurs all around this country. You know, could you share a story or two that come to mind about, you know, somebody who was able to take on that opportunity and be fit, or maybe somebody who fumbled the ball along the way?
You don't have to go far. I can start with myself.
Okay, please tell us more.
You know, that's the thing about it. Even though we're preaching with the Black Agenda, to take accountability, not just of your situation, your whole life. Once we understand, and I don't like to use the word dream, you know what I'm saying, because I don't believe that our lives are dreams. I think they're plans. And whoever plans correctly, that's the one that you see is successful. Nobody just wakes up and it's there, So my thing is just like what Chris said, it all starts off with mindset. And like I tell a lot of folks all the time, fear is the thing that I know my point of view at Black Agenda is what I'm trying to extirpate. Not trying. What we extirpate, because fear is the foundation of lies, you know what I'm saying? And that's really why a lot of people journeys either stop or they start, you know what I'm saying? Most journeys start because you're lying to somebody else. Most journeys stop because you're lying to yourself, So once we get that foundation straight, then we can start planning. But it all starts with mindset. Can you do it? I know you can do it. Do you want to do it? And what we're doing is we're taking away all the excuses. So I don't really like to talk about the failures, you know what I'm saying? Only when I'm talking to mentees that went through that route, like Jay-Z said, Hove did that. So hopefully you don't have to go through that. But we heard enough stories about the failures. Let's start talking more about the successes.
That's great. And is there a success story that you want to just share with us, or Dr. Lance, feel free to?
Oh, yeah. Black Unicorn Factory. We are a partnership that we're coming up with, the first platform, mutual fund digital technology platform. And I'd like to talk about this first, you know what I'm saying? Because we're talking about business and where we need to go at. First, we need to recognize that we're in the process of a revolution. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about the word revolution, especially Black, we got to take all those stimulus off of Black, because we say revolution and Black, instantly people think violence. You know what I'm saying? When revolution only means a drastic change in movement of people. That's what a revolution is. So first, if we know what the foundation of the words that we're talking about and the agenda that we're doing, and even the word agenda, which means a list, a plan, or an outline of things that need to be done or voted on. These not just catchphrases and things that we're trying to put out there to grab attention. Words mean things. Grab the words. So it's an agenda, a list, a plan, an outline of things that need to be done or voted on. Same thing with technology. Technology happens because of revolutions. That's the only reason that technology evolves, is because of revolution. What's the definition of revolution? A drastic change of the people. Now the people change. Why? Because business changed. Once the money starts changing, that's when you see the business change. That's why the word industrial goes in front of revolution. You say that not only do the people change in a drastic way, the business changes in a drastic way. And the business that we're talking about now is technology. Saying goodbye to brick and mortar, hello to click and order. We're living in a convenient society right now. You know what I'm saying? Either the word used to be back in the days, you need to be internationally known. I wish I was in, but internationally known is low now. That's low level fruit. Now you need to be multiversally known.
Multiversally known. Tell what does that mean?
Multiversely known meaning, guess what? We live in our universe, right? We're physical and everything, but also we have a universe that's being created right now that we call the metaverse. This is a business that's all built on top of the internet. They're not funny games and systems. This is new business. That's why I say goodbye to brick and mortar, hello to click and order. So what's going on with these businesses? Where was that?
We're going to digital technology.
Digital technology. Going to digital
Black
technology.
Unicorn Factory.
Black Unicorn Factory. So in saying that, everything in this fourth industrial revolution is about technology. The information in 2000, we got to the dot-com bubble. That was actually transferring the information. They got that. They went through 25 years of that. They got it established. But right now, it's time to bring the money over. So we see that the information is flowing perfectly over the internet. Now we have to get the money flowing perfectly over the internet. That brings in the Black Unicorn Factory. The Black Unicorn Factory is, because people don't know, in January, a law was signed that intellectual property is now an asset class.
As it always should have been.
Nice. That was
and I'm
as
getting
of
to the Black
this year?
Unicorn Factory. Just follow me. You know what I'm saying? Intellectual property is now an asset class, which reminds me, one of my mentors told me, as long as you can think, you'll never be broke.
Love that.
Not your hands or your movement. As long as you can think, you'll never be broke. So right now we have a guy, Black Unicorn Factory was a company that started in 2020. And what it is a digital mutual fund that's focusing on bringing funding to Black businesses, not only through economic money, but through sweat equity also. Because remember, I told you intellectual property is now an asset class. So now what you can do is you can actually, we call it fan vesting. And so where you would just pinging for money, just liking for free. Now what you can do is you can go on these type of platforms and you can do tasks and earn money in stock in companies.
That is definitely revolutionary.
Yeah.
Sounds like something that would really want folks to be able
Yes.
to tap into.
Yes.
A lot of the businesses that we get to work with are brick and mortar businesses, right? Like
Mhm.
we got some property owners in the room. We just had some amazing Annie's Kitchen. Can you speak to how technology is impacting those businesses too, and how those business owners can adopt a technology mindset so that they can move away from brick and mortar and into click and order?
Yes.
Love that catchphrase.
So same thing on that metaversely known platform. Let's just use a platform like Uber. So we say, and we have Trekking in the building also. You know what I'm saying? Kevin over here. But Uber, you need a physical car, right? You still need a physical driver. You still need a physical destination. But you do everything over your phone. Another thing about it, I say, well, we don't need the phone. Okay, while you're in the middle of that ride, in that phone, in that ride on that phone, and see if Civil War don't break place. That's what I'm talking about. When mass adoption takes place, what happens is people use it and they have no idea that it's actually part of their life until it's taken away from them. This is what technology is doing. And with the generations that's coming up underneath us now, we call them the convenience society. They don't want to go to the mailbox. They don't want to write a check. They want everything quick, fast, and technology say you can do that. So that's what we're doing. We're building these digital businesses on top of these traditional businesses. The businesses are not going away. It's just like money. Money doesn't change, only the form. The dollar never changes, only the form. Business never changes, only the form.
Yes, so in reference to mentioning retail to the technology arena, um, I think I said earlier we used to talk about FUBU, now it's FABU, for all by us. What can you sell to the world?
Okay.
We have 400 World Trade Centers. You can get a trade representative that can assess your business, and they will find the countries that will buy that, which gives you more customers than you ever had before. We also focus on procurement because we know that retail waits on someone to come to the door. But if you're able to get procurement contracts, you're able to have a sustainable income as well as new innovation as well. And again, we tell people, particularly with the Black agenda, to make sure that you diversify your network. We just recently had our holiday party, and we partner with the Asian community and every other culture from that perspective. So you got to be able to look, whatever business you're in, particularly brick and mortar, how do I aggregate that? How do I get known around the world? How do I create other revenue streams as opposed to just waiting for the person to come through the door? And again, the Black agenda focuses on making that happen.
I love that. That's incredible. I love that you mentioned For All by Us. We were doing a workshop earlier today, and one of the conversations that came up in that workshop was around community organizing and organizing for the West Side. And one interesting piece of that, and this happens in all sorts of communities, and it was, should the Black community organize as the Black community by itself or with everybody? And so to parlay this into a question, the pendulum of power continues to swing back and forth over our time, right, on this earth, and it has swung again. And I think a lot of folks are afraid, and some folks are excited. What do you have to say about that swinging pendulum of power and how it impacts entrepreneurs like yourselves and the folks that you want to invest in and mentor?
Well, if you saw in the video, we have always from day one crossed both aisles. We believe 50% Republican, 50% Democrat, 100% Black. We have to understand that in the political arena, politics and business are brothers and sisters. You have to look at how you leverage politics in order to move your agenda forward, how you pass legislation that correlates to business development. I tell people the best piece of legislation I've seen is Opportunity Zone, looking at how you can leverage capital to minority business from that perspective. So in reference to your question, we have to really not be afraid. The administration is what it is. How do you deal with the administration? So many people get in the door, they don't have a plan when they get there. So our focus is business legislation. How do we leverage politics in order to help create capital in order to business development grow? I just believe it's an enormous opportunity. We're not going to be fearful of anything. Fear and faith cannot share the same space. We focus on making things happen. Our political director can give some more politics.
Well, a lot of legislation that I've worked on, specifically in the state for cannabis, none of that could have happened from one side. However, the Black community and the brown community needed to have the living experiences and voices to pass that legislation. The disparities, the failed war on drugs, all of those things were the living experience to be able to discuss what was happening and the fear, because again, fear, stigma is what was driving most of the prohibition that had been happening. And one of the major reasons that the cannabis legislation here in the state was able is because everybody on both sides had to understand this is a human rights. This is a health care situation. This isn't about what blue or red. I love how Obama always says, we ain't blue or red. We're the United States. It's not a red state or a blue state. We're the United States. So at the end of the day, no matter what administration I've served under, and I've served under President Trump, I've served under President, every last one in the last 20 years in advocacy, no matter what, it took both sides in order for anything that I push, DUI bills, healthcare, even pet care. Everybody has a pet, right? You know, or they don't. But everybody has that understanding. It's being able to understand we're human beings. We're spiritual beings having this human experience. And what matters to me matters to my next brother and sister if they were in the same despairing situation. So I know a lot of people have their feelings about it, you know, like, oh, these are the colonizers that have taken. I'm going to say I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You have a history that we don't want to repeat. Therefore, we understand in order for us to move any needle forward, I got to understand where your game and your agenda is in order for me to be able to know how you can impact or deflect or cause problems in mine. And in order for me to help you and you to help me, there has to be a mutual understanding that you're trying to help your people one way. I'm trying to help my people another way. How can we work this together? Oh, you got one.
Dino, you got any thoughts?
Dino.
To
Pass that to Doc. Let Doc rock that money.
that? Our Attorney General Aaron Ford, he shared some advice with me like a decade ago when I was lobbying up the legislature, and it has always stuck with me for a long time, which is speak truth to power from a position of power. Yes. And that is, rooting yourself in that position of power, whatever that might be, whether that's, business currency, whether that's community currency, whatever that looks like. So my question for y'all as the Black Agenda is, how can folks, better position themselves to be able to tap in, to be able to contribute to the movement, to be able to collaborate with y'all? What are you folks looking for, especially in our community of emerging entrepreneurs here on the West Side?
Good question. So as I stated earlier, we focus on every industry. So we're always looking for people who are experts in whatever industry that is, and or who are emerging in those particular sectors. Every week, every Tuesday at 7:00 at Chocolate City, we have the Black Agenda meeting, and we bring different experts. The least you're going to do is get educated through our platform. We've had utility people, we've had government people, we've had technology. We make sure we bring experts into the area, talk about the opportunity, and then see how we can close that gap. What can we do in that particular space? For instance, we had a guy who came who's been doing military contracts for over 30 years. And we said, well, how do we partner with you? He said, well, you need to start a business. We said, oh, no, we don't start anything. We were able to create partnership with 5 existing African-American owned military contracting companies. And then from there, we look at getting contracts. So if people have whatever expertise they're in, whatever business they're in, come to our meetings, look and find out what your space is. And then from that perspective, we'll help you grow. And that's everybody. It's the Black Agenda, but we specifically work with everyone, especially Black and brown people, to be able to make the significant difference. And then you correlated speaking truth to power. We knew that we had to go the political route, so we hosted many fundraisers for politicians. We're happy to say that we endorsed Mayor Shelley Berkeley early on and was able to put her in, and will be the Black Agenda as part of her African-American commission, to make sure that she is hearing voices of our culture and strategies and things of that nature. But we've talked from the president all the way down to the local to make sure we're involved and integrated. So again, I tell the young entrepreneurs as well, make sure in those meetings, make sure you get involved in what's going on, but have an agenda, have a specific strategy, because you don't, you're just talking.
For me, with and I love that Kevin's in, we got Midwest, we got some of the folks from all over the country that for the Black Agenda are from time to time coming in. For me, working local, state, already having a footprint here, I have an access of knowing what is missing, what is the gap. So what I can do now is I take these investors, we take these experts that are inside the Black Agenda. So everything that I've seen hasn't worked, federal government, now I don't need you. Since you didn't do what you needed to do, fine. Now what we do is we take the expert, we put them at local, state, federal, and we say, what do you need in order to make this a solution? And we're not asking for you to do anything for us.
No.
We're asking to be a complement and be mutually beneficial to you. The idea that we've had, and I've brought developer after developer after developer, architects and things beyond you could think from all over this country to bring a change. This is the first, and within 2 weeks of taking individuals from this actual arena, the Black Agenda, individuals within this circle, I've already started moving over, I want to say $10 million worth of projects that have been sitting for years. That's
Wow.
what I mean.
That's amazing.
That's what the kind of movement that we're trying to show. I don't want to have another failed effort. I want to show Black excellence. I want to show success. I don't want the actual understanding of the Black movement as a failure anything. We've done nothing but move the needle, pioneer forward, and we're going to continue to pioneer forward from one person, one entity, one group, one network at a time.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Communities like this one all around the country are tired of broken promises.
That's
and,
it.
And that's why we even called the conference Promise Startups, because it's a promise and we're going to make traction on that promise
That's
every
right.
single time.
Every time.
And I love that you're doing that as well. And I think a lot of folks can learn from that from an organizing perspective. If they
Absolutely.
feel like their folks are being disillusioned, that they need to get some traction. They need to get
I think
some
the
metrics.
milestones, we talk about this, Elias, in these groups. People don't understand the perspective of milestones. Don't
Mhm.
make false promises. It goes back to
Yeah.
what he said with lies. You're not being honest with yourself.
Mhm.
You know what you can and can't do. Before you jump out there and eager and good idea fairy, pause. Am I going to be mutually beneficial, complementary in the efforts of what they said they need? Or am I going to be real with myself and say I'm selfish and this is my agenda and I'm going to see what I can get out of it? That's the truth. I've seen this in this community more so than not, where the siloing or the backbiting, the fighting, who's going to get the accolade of saving. We gonna save ourselves.
Mhm.
We got to save ourselves. Stop waiting in the victim mindset. We got it.
Mm.
We got it. We just didn't have access to the right people that also had it. Capital does everything.
Yeah.
That's what we bring to the table.
That reminds me of the quote, if not now, when? If not us, who? It's
Who?
about us to do it now. Alaric, who's the founder of Green Side Up here, has this quote. He was on our panel a couple months ago, and he talked about people closest to the problem having the closest stake to helping solve that problem. And so, himself and Green Side Up, solving the food deserts problem and the various problems that come from the community that, folks are solving, and even in your own background as an economist and challenging that problem. I want to take a moment now to open up the floor for some questions for the Black Agenda. Does anybody have some questions that Shaq could run the mic to?
What's the website?
Yeah. Here you go, Shaq. Take that.
I just like to know what the website is.
Website's still being constructed, but you can follow our data as far as social media on the Black Agenda Now 24 on Instagram, and you'll be fully informed there.
Also, I like to acknowledge that, as Chris said, we are a faith-based organization. We start our meetings with prayer, and then with prayer, we focus on faith and finance. About to launch a national tour on faith and finance, going around the country, helping Black churches and helping Black businesses partner with the Black church. And I'd like to acknowledge our new director of faith initiative, Brother Drake. Wave him to the he is. So if you are if you're a church or a community organization, please connect with him. We'll be assisting you in getting funding and mechanisms. People don't realize that the church is a business and they can access capital from Wall Street as opposed to going to the banks, and we can partner businesses with the churches. So if you're running a business, be it a Denny's, whatever that is, and you're on the pews at the church, we can then help buy that business, and the church can get information from there. There are 65,000 Black churches, 25 million members depositing $250 million every month in someone else's bank. So we're going to definitely help connect businesses with the church. And so again, get with Drake if you have a church or a community organization that you want to partner with.
And at this district level, I will be constructing so that all faith-based leaders can get together, and we will be talking about grants and what it is that we could do with programming and information that needs to expand, because as we know, the hub of a lot of our Black and Brown community is from the church. And so in order to understand the people, you got to talk with the people and understand what they need in order to be successful. So I'm super excited to have you here, because we know very much in the historic West Side as well as East Side that the churches have been in dire need, constantly begging for representation, application, and demonstration that they actually can cause the solutions of the problems that we actually have. So I want to thank you so much for that, and we will be working on that together, because I know this is a cause and an absolute must that this community wants to see.
Yeah, that's so super incredible. You know, especially I'm so glad that you brought Drake over here. Drake, I want to pass the mic over to you shortly so you can introduce yourself to everybody. But I just heard this quote from Alaric earlier, which was the historic West Side has the most amount of churches per capita than any other community in the country. And there's a lot of efforts going towards the historic West Side to develop the cultural corridor here. And that's one of our key priorities. So, you know, synergizing that would be amazing. Let's go with Drake, and then we've got Kevin, and then question from Alaric, and then we'll open it back up to the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Drake Macon. First of all, I'd like to thank the Black Agenda for giving me that position. I love God and I love our people, and I love the direction that the Black Agenda is actually showing me. The churches are very mainstay of this community. And I think this is an awesome chance for us to put the churches in position to acquire businesses, find out what the talents are in the pews, so there's not so much of a pull on the people. You know, it's hard times right now. So if through the Black Agenda and through these relationships that we can show the churches how to acquire businesses in order to get more capital, help the be able to help the community even better, but not so much of a pull on the people. I think that's awesome. So I'm glad to be a part of it. It's actually a blessing. So thank you.
Tell me a little about your background, Drake.
Let's see. I'm originally from Chicago. I came to Las Vegas through the military. I was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, so I'm a veteran. I started getting married, having my kids here, so I decided to stay and raise them here instead of going back to Chicago. I started my own fitness company called Making You Fit, and that was, very successful. COVID put a little dent in it, but so I'm getting it restarted. Also own a CPR company. I teach people CPR as well. So I'm trying to take that to the next level and create other CPR instructors so they can start their own business. So once again, now I'm part of the Black Agenda, and I'm loving everything that I'm learning, and I'm very appreciative. All right.
Thank you, Drake. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Jones. I'm out of Chicago, and unfortunately, I got to go back to that Windy City in about another week. But anyway, my time here with the Black Agenda has been very representative of Chicago and the business that it represents. But let's talk right now about you with the church initiative. One of the things that we have in America and coming out of the Black churches, that on Sundays, millions of dollars are collected in those plates. But on Monday, the money's going to somebody else's bank. We need to think about what does it take to open up the credit unions for that Black agenda for those Black churches and creating that financial institution so that when you start talking about opening up businesses, the money is already coming out of the church into your own church credit union that's established by the government, that's regulated by the government, and that can provide you with the funds that's needed to do that. That's the left side of that. On the left side of that, D, that I can help you with, and as well as that Dr. McCarthy and the rest of the agenda, is that I'm tied to a business that gives billions of dollars away to churches to grow your church affiliation and business based upon what you have. So I'll make sure that we connect on that because churches, whether they're small or whether they're mega, they bring it in money, but they also need money based upon the things that they do and represent. So we have access to that from the left arm to the right arm, and I'll make sure that I share that with you and so that the agenda can open it up to Black churches and anybody else's church, don't matter, because capital is capital, and you need that to create your business. As she said, nothing happens without capital. Thank you.
I see that. So did I just pick up some big money moves? Ideas that just came out was right. It sounded like $1 billion move. Credit union for churches now. Come on.
Oh, Dr. Lance, tell them about the church. Go on and tell them about the initiative of that.
Well, real briefly, I'm very fortunate to be one of the few faith-based economists in the country. And I started with the Catholic Church. And so the first thing I realized is that even though they hated war, they had stock in every defense company. So they were able to create a portfolio of capital. And so there's no business course in a seminary, but pastors are taught to come out and run a business. And they're doing business old school. You cannot have a AI economy still doing DVDs. And so it is our objective through our Faith and Finance tour to access the billions of dollars on Wall Street, because the money is not in banks, it's in Wall Street pension funds, insurance companies. So we have partnered with two major companies who provide over $1 billion in financing for churches. Again, we want to show businesses that they can partner with the church. We have not done an assessment of members' talents on the pews. And once we do that, we can find out how we can partner with the church in order to access capital and be able to not be dependent just on tithes and offering, but to create new revenue streams for the church. And the Black agenda is specifically geared toward faith and finance.
Don't forget real estate.
Yes, and so we also are speaking at the National Black Realtors Conference. And in that respect, we teach Black realtors only 9% of you all are in commercial. You pass by all the apartment complexes, the strip malls, etc., but you are already in the commercial space because the church is a commercial business. So we're teaching churches and Black realtors how to assess commercial. And then secondarily, we want to create the 100% home ownership program through the churches. You may not be able to own a home today, but we'll have every member apply, and then we can assist them getting there.
That's incredible. Yeah, Black homeownership is definitely one of those key areas for bridging the wealth gap in America. Love everything that I'm learning. I hope folks are learning a lot here today about what we could be doing better in our own community. And I want to pass the floor back to y'all for questions. Had one from Alaric, so feel free to jump in.
So my question is, in regards to an agenda, how important do you think that it is for a community to have a centralized agenda in order to develop?
Oh, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You got to have a deliberate plan in order to move your agenda forward. When talking to pastors, I said nothing's wrong with miracles. Let's put a plan on top of the miracle. Yeah. We have not had a plan in the Black community since 1964 with the Civil Rights Act. So we are creating an agenda with a specific strategy of 100 Black millionaires so we can hit that goal and then move from there. So it's very, very, very important that we have an agenda and a blueprint. It can always be adjusted, but we have to have a plan. And we're very fortunate to have launched ours locally, nationally, and globally.
I think also, Alaric, being able to the work that you and Mitchell have been doing at the local level. I'm so glad one of my first stops, I had about 10, like we've been doing this like for 2 weeks. So I've had a list where we've been looking at the individuals that have not been getting the grants, that have been doing the work, that have been, paving a way without the capital, finding Robin Paul to pay all that. So that's why we're coming to your spot on Monday, because the truth of the matter is we have not patronized those that have done the work correctly, and they get weary and they go away, but they are a solution, and they don't understand that they are worthy, not just in the idea of the value of what they bring into the economy, but the worthiness and the currency that they fed in the frequency of the people and healing and restoring back. So I want to say thank you so much. Your efforts were not in vain at all. And the first thing that I did was I've been watching for a minute now, and I see who didn't get the help. And the worst part about the Black community that we have seen over time is sometimes we can't help each other, and we sit and we feel bad because if I had it, I give it to you, but I didn't have anybody to give it to you. But it didn't mean that I didn't love you. It meant that I didn't have the resources. And I just want to say, that's how your concept that we've seen can synchronize. There's synchronicities within any agenda. Anybody that's in their pureness, they'll meet their match, and that person's agenda will match that, and you'll flourish. And that's what I'm hoping for some of the businesses here that I've witnessed, the being able to come in and tour your business, show them your finance, show them what you have needed, capital, occupation, training, what it is that we can feed. You just saw how we work. We'll be in a room together and be like, oh, I got something for you. Puzzle piece. Here you go. Good luck. Multi-millionaire next week. And that's the way it should be. That's how every other community works together.
Yep.
We just have been stolen away from our true essence within ourselves to know culturally we should have been winning.
Right.
We just forgot. Yeah.
And just to add on that, that's one of my main avenues in the Black agenda. As an ethnicity, we're the only ethnicity that separates our streets from our corporate.
Yeah.
We separate our uneducated from our educated. It's a barrier. We fight against one another. That's 98% of our money. The reason I say 98% of our money is because we accounted for $1.7 trillion. Now they're saying our ethnicity is accounted for $1.7 trillion of the market, of the global market. But we're in poverty. Reason being is because we're separating our street from our intellect. We need to bridge that core because the streets need funding. That's all the streets need. The crack, and what happened with the crack epidemic, I always talk about the crack epidemic. What the crack epidemic did was the reason that it got the street is because it provided funding for the streets. That's how you got all these hip hop and rappers and actors that you've seen. They came from crack epidemic funded organizations.
Yeah.
That's over. We found out we couldn't scale that. And now the streets are saying, what do we need to do? That's why I don't say the word change. I use the word exchange, because if everybody wants to change, but the problem is, especially the streets, is what do we change into? So we using the word in the Black agenda, we using exchange. We saying we have the answer. And the Elias was saying earlier is if the person that's closer to the problem is the one that knows how to fix it. That's the crack epidemic was my generation. We dropped the ball, but we dropped the ball because we didn't have funding. The Black agenda say we can get the streets funding. Now we need the streets to start talking.
And let me add to that concept, the difference between the Black agenda and Black business, because I got to understand the system has taught us not to share our information on how to become successful. I got mine, you figure out how to get yours. Well, the Black agenda is about helping you as an individual to make that change and that transition of understanding how to be successful. If we don't share information, we don't never get information. That's what the system was about. The crack epidemic was also about keeping a mindset messed up and dysfunctional so that your children don't be in position to compete against their children. Don't get it twisted. Now, in order for a business to be successful, a business has to have good credit. Well, we have in the Black Agenda a company called Spin Cycle Financial that helps you with your credit. And if you're in business, you need business credit. You need trade lines. You need things that's going to bring money to your table. And you have to be in position to do that. The Black Agenda, again, provides that level of service so that businesses can advance themselves in that global market, because as Dino said, we are in a global market and we have to prepare ourselves technologically, financially, and spiritually to be in that zone. And that's what part of the agenda does, help you in all those facets as well. So Spin Cycle Financial through the Black Agenda help you with your businesses to get that business credit or that credit so that you can grow. I just wanted to share that with you as well.
One of the main things I want to also say, thank you, Kevin, for that. But I think people need to understand with the Black Agenda, we're global. Like one day, I think you and I, we worked from Africa, and then I got off the phone with you and worked Canada and got off the phone with that and did some local stuff and got off the phone. But all of this was tied into businesses that were a part of the Black Agenda. And each one was able to funnel in an education, information, not just the capital. So I want to also add into it, it's more than just a capital understanding. We're giving you companies that are training, teaching, and advising you to be successful.
I love that. One thing that was brought up here was that concept of when you're successful, you figure out you get yours on your own, right? And that's just a terrible mindset for entrepreneurship, terrible mindset for the country, bad mindset for faith, all of that, right? It reminds me of the crabs. One crab's trying to come out and other crab is bringing them down, right? We could all become abundant together. And, that's, again, big part of why we do this conference every month is to bring entrepreneurs together to do business with one another. And I've been so, grateful to witness entrepreneurs do business with one another in this community. Sometimes it don't go so great. Sometimes it goes amazing, but that's part of the game. And so I want to do this test real quick together, if y'all don't mind. And I want y'all to join me in saying, I am worthy. You ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. I am worthy. All right, now who wants to be a millionaire? Raise your hand. All right, okay. Well, the reason why I was asking that, billionaires, millionaires on the way to billionaire. Okay, right. They do. Hey, now, everybody who raised their hand, though, who's got a question? Who's got the next question? I think Shaq had a question from the comments. Feel free to do that, and then we got time for one more or two more. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lance, for inviting me. Appreciate that. My name is Bishop George White. And the question that I've heard for years, and I've been in several settings, National Black Caucus. I've sat in those meetings. I've been in several county economical settings. Every time that question comes up about the churches and the money that goes into the banks, and we always get the same response from a room of 10 to a room of 1,000. Always gets the same response. And I remember right here locally in the Las Vegas community, West Side community. It was a West Side Federal Credit Union, which is closed now. And I remember a bank, I know him personally. He started Enterprise Credit Union right here on the West Side. And he went to every church and said, hello, we want to make this available for you. He went to each church and laid out a plan If it's just $100 a week, put it in. If it's $1,000, to whatever ability. Like Jesus said, some can do 4, some can do 2, some can do 1. And he said, we'll assist your members also. Ask them to just deposit $25. Well, that credit union had to close down. And so I hear a lot of that statement, and all of us responded of the billions and the trillions. And I met Floyd Flake, what happened in New York, what he did. You all are from Chicago, the late Bishop Brazier, what he did in Chicago. These are major community investors, financiers, and what Bishop Brazier did in Chicago is just out of this world. We declared that, and I'm saying what could be, it's almost like in my mind, I may not say it right, but I'm gonna throw it out there and y'all correct it. I may not have the right language to it, but I'm gonna talk like I'm a 3-year-old and I just need a bottle. Robert Smith, we know who Robert Smith is, right? Robert Smith, he stirred the hearts of America when he gave that speech. What was that, Morehouse?
Yes.
And he paid off all of their student loans. And it sparked something. Barbershops actually went to certain high schools and started giving monies to kids to go to school. It sparked something. He just didn't talk about it, but he put his money where his mouth is to start something and just say, I'm not just talking about this, I really want it to happen. Go back to the Westside Federal Credit Union, go back to Enterprise Credit Union, the shutting down, the non-participant of the clergy, of the churches. The question is, and I just said a lot, and maybe it didn't make sense, but I just threw it out there. What will tear down the trust factor of us moving in that area? Because we hear a lot of talk about it. And many of us agree. And we shout and we all shake that ring when we say all the money that's deposited on Monday to Wells Fargo's, to U.S. Credit Union, all these, how can we switch that and really move an agenda towards that, and not as fairy dust, but real steps in that direction, if that made any sense.
Yeah, good question and good background. We have come to realize that there are some who want to move and some that are waiting on the sideline. So the reason that we're doing this national faith and finance tour is to find those pastors in every market that are ready to move. And once we assist them, it's not always in faith that people believe, but once they see other churches doing it, then we aggregate it from that perspective. I've been telling pastors this forever, and God has given me my own church here with this Black agenda. So we're going to go around the country, find those who are ready, provide them with the financing, show them how we can aggregate those churches together, and then people can see. Because as long as it's theory and they are talking about it, it'll be talked about another 50 years, another 100 years. We don't have time. So we're specifically going to city by city to find those who are ready, get them funded, and then we can show others they can get on the train as well.
All right, we got a question right over here.
Somebody in the comments wanted Drake's information.
No, actually, I've been posting it live, and I think they want information on how to join the
Black Agenda.
Yeah.
So Chocolate City, we want you to see you. If you can't make it on Tuesday night at 7, Chocolate City, what I'd like you to do is, Dr. Lance, have them email you at your email. Can you give them their email?
Yeah, Dr. Finance 7 at AOL. Then we can put you into our database. And we also have a Monday night call. We have an in-person meeting on Tuesday nights at 7, but we have a Monday night call nationally at 7 o'clock. And so you can tie into that too. Hear what we're doing, see what cities are involved, and go from there.
Awesome. Can we share that Monday night call with our membership? We can
Yes,
do like an
we'd
email.
love to. Yes, we'll get that to you.
So I do have one more question. If they're outside, I'm sorry. If they're outside of Vegas, is there any way for them to participate or tap into that? Because I'm not sure if this person that's asking is here in Vegas or not.
Yeah, so again, the Monday night calls for everyone, and we're going to start streaming the Tuesday night calls so people can be able to see and tap in.
And what I'll do is we'll also have Andy, if he's there, or to do a live on one of the actual members' local social media platforms, and then we'll tag and share and go from there as well, because we don't want them to lose, the information that happens on Tuesday nights either.
If I could say one more thing to add on to what Bishop White said, I think Dr. Lance gave the perfect example and answer. We have pastors and bishops who are leaders, such as yourself, who I'm under Bishop McDonald, who has a voice in this community. And I think it starts with those core people sticking to the plan. And like he said, once other people can witness it work, then we'll get that trickle in and get people to come in. But I think getting like-minded people to stick with it, no matter what it looks like, is what gets us over that hump. So I think Dr. Lance gave the perfect answer for that.
She's right there.
Thank you, Drake. And then we got Miss Duncan here.
Miss Duncan.
Thank you. I just first of all want to know where you all get those hats.
You know what? This was
No,
not
that wasn't
planned. We
my-
had no idea we were all this stylish. So every time we show up, we're like, what?
I mean,
and
you
look,
all
and we
came
all
in
got
like,
different hats, and we keep showing up this way.
I need to get my hat. Okay, so so thank you so much. I'm really enjoying. I take two pages of notes. I won't go through all of them, but what I really wanted to know is when you say you're meeting at 7:00 at Chocolate City, where is Chocolate City? Number
1511 South Commerce Boulevard, it's downtown Las Vegas. It's a
what is
lounge.
what is the address?
1511 South Commerce Street, right in our district.
Okay. And okay, so now you asked us if we had a plan, and plan is a 4-letter word in our neighborhood, because every year since 2004. We as a community, as a neighborhood, have been asked to sit in on these arduous meetings, give our ideas to the city and the county, and we get another plan. Every 4 or 5 years we do that, and nothing ever happens.
That's right.
Let me take it back. A lot of things happen, but nothing that happening good for us. We've just seen more destruction, more fires, more homelessness. Churches only open on Sundays. Very little programming in the communities. Our parks are closing and being used for things that are not park-like. So if we have a concept of becoming a tourism destination, and those of us who have attractions that need support in that destination, how can we come to you, or how do you come to us to assist us in developing that destination and each attraction within the destination? Then how do we get resources to market the destination to the rest of the world? So do you have resources around that initiative?
Yes, as mentioned, again, we sit down every week, almost like a think tank, and we move just from research to actual implementation. So if you have an idea, a plan, come to our meetings, we immediately integrate it into our plan. We say that we're 25% theory, but we're 75% deal makers. We like to things happen in aggregate terms and make things happen from that perspective. We're very spiritual, and I like to make 2 quick announcements that are very impactful. One is that Dino and I sat into the Chocolate City Cigar Bar Private VIP, and we talked about 2 numbers. We said we got to be big and bold in order to move this agenda forward. We said 100 million, and we said $1 billion. So we're happy to announce next Tuesday we will have the EB5 specialist, which is a law that puts money into a fund in order to fund Black businesses particularly. But if you put $1 million into the fund into your foreign capital, you will be able to get funded. So we're announcing a $100 million fund next Tuesday with Dave Dillon, who is an expert in EB5, in order to create $100 million for Black businesses. The other one is we said 100 million and we said $1 billion. We have just been asked to be a part, and this will be announced in another month or so, $1 billion fund, which then also has foreign investments to invest into Black businesses. So again, we put from theory to actual implementation so we can quantifiably show how you make significant impacts. We're very, very excited about that. We know God is leading us, moving us forward. But again, back to your question, bring your ideas or strategies and we will implement. We are all about execution as opposed to just being theory. We've all been in meetings and talk and talk. Yeah, we don't meet to meet to meet. We meet and we strategize and we make it happen. We're very blessed to be able to do that. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Of
Yes.
course. Of course. You're
So
talking
that's
our
the- yes,
language.
That's the whole point, is to
Yes.
make you self-sufficient with what you are already doing.
Yes.
The idea is you don't have any missing pieces in this community, if I'm being honest. You have a stigma problem, and you have a trust issue, and you have people that have their own personal agendas that are what I call Trojan horses. We don't need to meet to hear your opinion of what can and can't happen. I don't want to hear it. I'm not here for that. Either you're going to be successful, or you're aiming for success, or you're not. Everything else is disrespectful. At this point, we have had too much disparity, too many lives lost, too many people without to keep having the same meeting, the same plan, the same conversation. We're done. I don't want to talk anymore. We just saw this through this campaign. I'm done talking. Either you move and shake or you do nothing.
Yeah, I love the sentiment that that's being brought up here, and I just want to share as we put an end to this, and we'll do final remarks, and then we'll do a group photo here. But folks, I'm looking at this room, and I see so many people who put in a lot of work this 2024, who put in a lot of work this last couple years, this last decade, sometimes multiple decades. I just want to, give, praise to God and be grateful that we were divinely connected by, King Clyde and the network and that Black Agenda, that we get to collaborate with y'all with Promise Startups. And I just want to say, folks, this is your year. You've been putting in the work. You've been putting in the work, and you're going to get the results. So with that being said, we'll do some final remarks and group photos.
We also like to thank you, Elias, because we know you've been in the trenches and you've helped thousands of businesses here and have a heart for the community. So we're happy to be working with you. Let's give Elias a round of applause. Let me tell you something real quick about him, though. We know that he's an advocate. We know he's a tech guru. But let me tell you something about Elias y'all don't know. It takes 16 years to get a driver's license, 18 to vote, 21 to be legal, 35 to run for president, 65 to retire, but a lifetime for Elias. One more applause. My words are very simple. The first should be last and the last shall be first. And I believe that concurrently. And we live in a technological revolution where access to the phone gives you access to the world. We all have the same 24 hours, which means creativity becomes the economic indicator. Think big. Do not think small. Think billions and trillions. We now have Elon Musk worth $500 billion. It's crazy. $500 billion. So we are creating trillionaires. Think big, and especially if you are spiritually led and you are led by God. God don't want you to be broke. There's nobility in being broke unless you Mother Teresa or Jesus.
We are not martyred.
At all. Yeah, money can't buy everything, but poverty can't buy anything. And we don't apologize for our lifestyle. I tell God all the time, you my man, I'll touch the Hebrews. I'll even hang out in the dirt. I'm a palace kind of guy. And it's Black Agenda, we fly. We don't apologize for it. We like good things. We like style, and we make it work. And so that's think big. That's my last word.
I do have to say infinite possibilities. Always remember this. Infinite possibilities. We are these ethereal beings that can create the essence. If you could see it, believe it. If you can see it, believe it. Infinite possibilities mean there is no lack. We do not operate in a lack mindset, nor do we attach to the parasitic, cantankerous things that would poison the essence of the greatness that is for everyone, not just for us. We want everybody to fly. We do, but we know everybody can't fly. But for the ones that are chosen, that's what we were embarked. That's what we were charged with. That's what we were bestowed upon. Each one of us has a personal ministry that God has placed within us. This is not by chance.
No.
None of this is by chance. We've risen and did the ebb and flow. I don't think anything is a failure. Everything is a lesson. So if you're in business, nothing is wasted. I promise you. Every single thing is going to be a piece to your next success. So do not be weary. There is no lack.
Develop courage. Develop courage to cast out fear. Fear of failure. Fear of not becoming the person that you were born to be. Settling for less when you know you wanted more. Develop courage to grow your talents. Develop courage from needing acceptance and approval of others. You see, if you continue to depend on the majority's approval, eventually you will run out of steam and turn back into the person that you wanted to turn from in the beginning. Remember this, people. You are a minority, not because of your race, not because of your gender. You're a minority because the majority of people lack courage. And instead of admitting that they're petrified, they rather ridicule or make negative remarks about your courageous acts. Develop courage.
It's amazing. Let's give it up for the Black Agenda, everybody. Thank you so much. That was an